Mystery Brothers. Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Brothers. Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Brothers. Mystery Brothers.
All right, what's up? So this is now episode 8 of Mystery Bros.
Oh yeah, we're getting up there, baby.
Episode 8. This episode, we are going to be talking about the lost colony of Roanoke.
Yeah, the first colony of America.
Well, the first English colony of America, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Technically, we're all English, Evan.
Yeah. This is, way back in the day. This is...
16th century.
Yeah, 16th century. So we'll kind of go over. We'll give you the background about Roanoke, like how the whole situation played out, and then we'll talk about theories about what may have happened to this colony. Because spoiler alert, the colony that they set up just completely disappeared. No one knows what happened to them. There are some clues. There were some clues left. We'll get into that. But I think I have a good idea of what happened. But again, as per usual, we'll never know. Because this shit is just, it's ancient history.
Correct.
Not quite ancient history, but it's history now. So, Roanoke, basically the whole story kind of starts in 1584. All right. 2 ships sailed across the Atlantic from England, and the point was to set up the first English colony in America. Now, this first voyage with just 2 ships was kind of meant to just kind of like scope out a spot, just kind of to go there and kind of figure out like
where to settle. Yeah,
where to settle, where was a good spot, blah blah blah. And they landed on the outer banks of North Carolina, like on that, like they have like an outer banks rim of islands.
Yeah, they're on islands.
I've actually been there a lot. I used to go there in the summers.
Is it nice?
It's super nice. My ex's family used to like every summer they would like rent a cottage on one of those like on one of the islands. It was called Topsail Islands where we used to go.
Oh, nice.
And it's cool. It's a super nice area, nice beaches. Super shark infested though, man. It was crazy. One year I went there. There was a shark attack like a mile from where I was swimming that same day. So it's pretty crazy. Lots of shark attacks around that area. I can only imagine back in the day. Probably.
Well, 4 years of my life was spent at college in North Carolina.
But nice.
That was too far inland. I was by Greensboro, High Point, the Charlotte area.
Okay.
I didn't go to the beach much, but it's pretty nice on the coast. I've been to a couple cities inland. It's beautiful. North Carolina's a great state because literally it's only cold January and February. The rest of the year is just great. I remember days in December in the 70s, in March in the 70s. It's just perfect.
Yeah, there's only a couple months where it gets even remotely cold. But that's coming from 2 people who live in Michigan right now, so...
Where it's like cold like half the year.
Yeah, we understand cold.
You don't understand cold until you live in Michigan, believe me.
So when they landed on the outer banks there of North Carolina, there's a little island just inside the outer bank area called Roanoke, and they met with the local tribes there. All right, and they were invited by these tribes to their village, which was on the Roanoke Island. So they went to the Roanoke Island, kind of scoped it out, like made peace with the natives and stuff. Everything was cool at that time. And then they returned to England with the news of like, hey, we found a good spot. We found some natives there. We're cool with them. So this seems like a good spot to set up our colony. And so the guy who was supposed to be the captain, the guy who was going to go and like command the ships and be the one to set it up was Walter Raleigh. Mm-hmm. And it's spelled Raleigh just like that city in North Carolina, Raleigh.
The capital, Raleigh.
Yeah, the capital is Raleigh.
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah, baby. And he set up...
If you like NASCAR, you fit just in. Perfect.
What'd you say?
If you like NASCAR, perfect place to be.
Not a big fan of NASCAR. But yeah, so basically they were planning to set up their colony on the Outer Banks, not necessarily on the island of Roanoke, just kind of on the Outer Bank area. So in April 1585. Well, you know what? Let's real quick. I want to bounce because I feel like it's better to tell the story this way. So back in 1584 with those two ships, they actually brought back two Native American
Manteo.
Yeah, two Native American like basically chiefs of their tribe. Like one was the chief of the Roanoke tribe and his name was Winchez. That's terrible. His name was Wanchese or Wanchez. God, I sound so white. His name was Wanchez, and he was the leader of the Roanoke tribe, and they brought him back to kind of, they wanted to come back. They didn't like force them or anything. They just said, come back to England with us. You can like meet with our queen, and you can like kind of get a feel for our culture a little bit, just so, you know, since we're going to be like near each other. And they were like, all right, so they did it. And Wanchese was the leader of the Roanoke tribe. He came back, and then Manteo, who was the leader of the Croatian tribe, or the Croatoan. Yeah, not Croatian, Croatoan. The Croatoan tribe, which was just a little bit south of Roanoke. It was still like on the Outer Banks area. It was just an island that was a little bit south of Roanoke. And so they brought them back, and they were like, we're kind of like allies. Like we wanted to bring them back to be allies so that we could learn. What ended up happening was Wanchese, I don't know how to spell or how to pronounce it, but he kind of grew. He didn't really like us that much. He kind of had a resentment for the English, wasn't a big fan of us, and he was the leader of the Roanoke tribe. And then Manteo became fascinated with us and really liked the English and wanted to try and like cooperate and become like an ambassador between the English and the natives. So Manteo was really cool. Wanchese did not like us that much. Right. And they returned. Then they were sent back a few, like they were in England for like 3 months or so, and then they were sent back after that. So they arrived back in the tribe back around like 1585-ish or so. Mm-hmm. Now, going back to,
so are you going to the first time they settled?
Yes. I'm going to get to that right now. I wanted to put out that I wanted to do it kind of chronologically. So they took the Native Americans came back to England at that time. I wanted to point that out. That's going to come back into play later. But I just wanted to point that out because I feel like it's better to tell the story chronologically.
And like come back.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that I read or stuff that I looked into, they like didn't mention that until later, just because it was a little more relevant later. But I think it's better to tell it more chronologically. So
that makes sense.
So at that time of the very first voyage out there, when they were just scouting out the area, they brought those two guys back. So then in April 1585, Walter Raleigh set sail back for America. Back then, I don't think it was called America, but he set sail for the unknown land. Yeah, for the West. And there were 7 ships total, 600 men. Oh, wow. And they had supplies for an entire year. All right, so they made the voyage. They get over there, and then their main ship, all right, just so happened that their main ship got beached on a shoal, and it was flooded, and that ship basically had like most of their supplies. All right, so most of their supplies was ruined. All right, so that was a big fucking bummer. So basically, the size of the colony had to be like dramatically like reduced and it's because hard they just did not have enough supplies for 600 men. So what they did is they left 100 men there. All right, they stationed them on Roanoke, and then they constructed the colony with permission from Wanchese or the native tribes in the area. All right, now with that said, those 100 people were stationed there, and then they were promised, like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to England, and then we're just going to come right back with a bunch more supplies, and not fuck it up this time. So we're going to come back with like a second wave of supplies, and it was going to be arriving in about 3 months. Okay. So that was the plan. So the rest of the men ship or sail back to England. But when they get to England, apparently the Queen said no because they needed that ship for supplies back into England. So everyone was like, so they were like, fuck. So the colonists, they started to run out of food, and they were kind of started depending on the Native Americans to help them because they didn't know how to grow food. They didn't know how to do any of that. And the Native Americans did. But because of that, I mean, the Native Americans, like, they didn't expect to be having to grow food for an extra 100 people or something like that.
They were like overwhelmed.
Yeah, so it was kind of overwhelming for them, and the relationship between the colonists and the Native Americans started to get kind of strained.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't going so great because they were like, the colonists were like, please help us, give us food, blah, blah, and like, natives were like, fuck, I guess we can, but like, now we don't have that much food and blah, blah, blah. So it was a big issue. And then the natives noticed that after colonists would come to their villages, that natives would just kind of start dying. They would just like get sick and die. And the natives started to believe that the colonists basically had they called them invisible bullets, and then the colonists would come by, and natives would just inexplicably die. And obviously, we know now that was because of like diseases and stuff that the Native Americans just weren't immune to. You know what I mean? But back then, they had no idea what that was. They just anytime the colonists would come to their villages, that natives would just die inexplicably. Right. So the relationship started to get pretty sour, if you know what I mean. And the leader of the colonists, he believed that the natives were going to attack. He just kind of felt it coming. He was like, fuck, like, they're not fans of us right now.
No, yeah.
They have to strain to give us food. Plus, like, they think we have these invisible bullets and we're killing their people. So I think they're going to attack us. So he kind of took like a preemptive strike, and he decided on June 1st, 1586, that he was going to attack the villages, the Native Americans.
They attacked the village that they thought were like enemies, and they were actually friendlies. They're friendlies of Mantua, and it took a while for them to restore their relationship. Really?
Okay, I didn't hear that. That probably happened at the same time because they just decided to preemptively attack.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm sure that happened. They accidentally attacked some wrong tribes, but they ended up really killing a bunch of the Roanoke tribes. And one of their chiefs, his name was Wingina, or Wingina, whatever. I'm terrible at pronouncing these Native American names. I'm sorry, guys. But Chief Wingina, and they basically decapitated him, and they impaled his head on a stake and like stuck it in the ground outside of their colony.
Damn.
As kind of a warning, pretty much. It's pretty savage, right? Pretty savage to just preemptively attack these guys just because you think maybe they're going to attack us. So how about we fuck them up first? So you go there, fuck them up, and then just decapitate their chief and put his head on a post out there. That's fucking crazy. That's some pretty savage shit, dude. Back in the day, people were pretty savage, man. Native Americans were kind of savage too, man. They would like scalp people, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, life was pretty fucked up back then, huh?
Right, life was different than we know it now.
Back in the 1500s, man, like that shit was way different.
15, 16.
So then, about a week or two later, after the attacks, there was a large English fleet that was sailing down by kind of like South America, and they swooped up and dropped by the colony, and realized like what was going on, that there was a lot of tension there between the natives and the English and the colony, and basically everyone in the colony and the ships kind of just decided like, we got to get the fuck out of here. We shouldn't be settling here. Like, we've made some issues. Obviously, they attacked like tribes they were supposed to be friendly with. That probably caused some issues. Plus, they attacked the Roanoke tribe, killed their leader. Like, that was just, things were not going great for them over there. So they decided to abandon the colony and go back to England. So they got on those ships. Yeah, so they evacuated the whole island, and they accidentally left 3 people behind because apparently they couldn't find them. They were like out doing like, I don't know, scouting, trying to hunt in the woods or something. Yeah, something like that, and couldn't find them, and they left 3 people there. Supposedly
they didn't send like a quick text, like a group colony
like,
text
hey,
message, like
where you at, dog? No, yeah, they basically just like were like, oh, guess they're not here. I guess they're fucked. God, that sucks.
Should have checked the group chat.
Yeah, right. Should have been paying attention. A little bit after they evacuated from the colony, a supply fleet showed up in Roanoke because they didn't know that they had evacuated. So they showed up to give them some supplies, realized, shit, everyone was gone. So what they did was they decided to leave 15 men on the island to guard the fort that they made.
Yeah, and that's when they had the complications at the fort when they left them there.
What complications? Like
little did they know that the natives were waiting for them in the bushes.
Oh yeah, those 15 people.
I
don't think that they made it. Right, those 15 people.
They didn't make it. They found out when they came back.
Yeah, they didn't find this out till later. But yeah, those 15 people did not survive. They I don't think
killed.
They probably didn't know that the tensions between them and the Native Americans were even happening because they showed up after everyone left.
Right. So they're just kind of just left there.
Damn, dude, why would you agree? I guess like things were different back then. Like 15 people was maybe a lot, but why would you be like, yeah, I'll just live here on this remote land?
Sounds paradise. Sounds like paradise.
With just 15 people? I don't know. That just seems like it's not going to work out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, so then they get back, the colony gets back to England, the original 100 people that left. And, you know, it was a little while, like, they get back, they're kind of like, damn, that sucks, that didn't work out. But there was a dude named John White, he was a painter, and apparently he was really into the colony. He wanted to try again. Mm-hmm. He really wanted to try and set it up again. So he persuaded Raleigh to try and attempt to do this again.
Second attempt.
This time they would include women and children, which apparently they didn't have very many of last time. They wanted to try and like literally start like a new like colony, like a new city, a new town there. So they were like, we're going to bring women, children, men, we're going to bring everything, and we're just going to start basically like set everything up. So in 1587, 3 ships led by White left for Roanoke, and they were getting ready to try one more time. Maybe the third time's a charm, right? You know, it's interesting, man. Like people that just Raleigh must have sailed back and forth between England and like
a bunch of times.
America. So many, like he must have spent years worth of his life just like on the ship, getting back and forth.
So you did it. It's a 7-month voyage. It's not like today where it takes 6 hours and you're in America.
Yeah,
it's like a 3 to 6 months voyage.
Dude, that's crazy, man. And I mean, back then, you could die very easily on that voyage, right? Like that's not a guaranteed thing, you know. So it's just kind of crazy, like that they would just keep doing that. You know, once or twice, like sailing over there once, no big deal. Sailing back, I get it. But then he just kept going back and forth. It's like you're just playing like Russian roulette. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At that point, you're just playing Russian roulette with your life. You're hoping that the seas, you know, are forgiving and let you make it. Pretty crazy. But so they sailed off, and the original plan was to try and start the colony a little bit further north on this area called Chesapeake Bay, which was up a little bit further north, up around like Virginia area. But basically because Roanoke was determined not to be the best location You know, I'm sure that the tensions between them and the natives probably was a factor in that.
Definitely, I could
Yeah,
definitely
it was
see
definitely
that.
a big factor in that, but also probably just I think like the land wasn't quite as good for like crops and stuff like that. So they were like, yeah, so they were like, we're gonna try and set this up a little bit further north at the Chesapeake Bay area, but there was a Portuguese. He was basically like a master navigator, is what they called him, and his name was Captain Fernandez. And he was basically like more respected by the crew and everyone than White was.
Then why wasn't he the leader?
I don't know. He just White was the guy who got the ships, and you know he procured everything, so he was the leader. But everybody respected this guy Fernandez way more than him. And Fernandez was like, "No, I want to set this shit up on Roanoke." Not really sure why. I don't think they didn't really explain why. But Fernandez was like, nah, I want to be on Roanoke. So, and White basically was just like, all right, whatever, and agreed. So they decided they're just going to go back to Roanoke once they got there. And yeah, like we said earlier, when they got there, there was no sign of the 15 men that they had left there before.
Well, there were signs of what they found.
A pile of bones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they found a pile of bones, which was, you know, the remains of a couple of them, I guess.
Yep.
Usually not a good sign, huh?
Nah.
Yeah.
Means that relationships didn't get any better during.
Yeah, it means they didn't patch things up really with the natives, huh? Mm-hmm. So yeah, when they get there, they see the pile of bones. And they realized very quickly that things were not peachy between them and the Native Americans.
Right.
I'm pretty sure just a few days in of being there, a colonist named George Howe was attacked by natives, and he was shot with 16 bow and arrows, and then his skull was caved in.
Damn. Yeah, I heard another instance where a fisherman was attacked, and they were like, the colonists were afraid to like leave the fort at that point. They just wanted to stay where they set up base.
Yeah. Yeah, things were not great between them and the Native Americans.
It's kind of bad because you're sharing an island where the other group hates you.
Exactly, yeah.
So
it's not a good setup.
Best, so it's like, you know, you don't want to just go play in the woods.
Yeah, it's not a good setup. It's kind of like Corona right now. Like, you gotta just stay inside. But yeah, you know, so there was just all this tension, man. Why wouldn't you go North Chesapeake like you wanted to and avoid this conflict between the natives? You know, I just don't get that.
I think there were complications of geographic, and what was better for farming was probably better at Roanoke.
That's the reason they chose Chesapeake.
I heard they chose Chesapeake because they wanted a place where there'd be friendlier relations, because they've strained relations with the Roanoke tribe.
Okay, so that's why they chose Chesapeake Bay, but Roanoke was a better spot.
Yes, that's what I heard.
Okay, I did not read that, but that's probably true. Yeah, because it just seems like a dumb idea to go back to Roanoke when you know like what's going on there. Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so things were bad. George Howe got fucking messed up, got killed 2 days in. White reached out to Manteo, who was the leader of the Croatoan tribe, who was really fascinated with the English and had a pretty good relationship with us. Yeah, I guess we accidentally attacked one of their colonies back in the day, but I think that they patched things up. Like, they were cool about it. Manteo, man, like, I wonder what he liked so much about the English to like take us back after we had already like attacked his tribe, and like
I think he was just fascinated by the culture, how far advanced they were and everything.
Yeah, I think he was really interested in that. He liked us. So Manteo told them that it was the Roanoke tribe that had killed the 15 men that they left.
Oh, really?
Well, actually, apparently he killed 2 men, which is those pile of bones, and then the other 13 men fled, but no one knows where they went. Never heard from again. Which happens a lot back in the day, man. You know? People just, if you flee a spot and like something, it's just like you could disappear. Right. And there was no cell phones, there was no internet, there was nothing to like track anybody. It's just, what an interesting time.
Definitely.
No way to be tracked. No, it's so weird.
Back in the 16th century.
Yeah, things were probably crazy. I'm sure it sucked, but I'm sure there was some interesting, cool things about it. But after about a month or so, Fernandez and White returned to England with the intention of bringing back more people and supplies.
Right.
Now, go ahead.
And there's also been some speculation that White was actually forced out by the colonists because he had the bad relations with the Indians.
Yep.
So they were asked. So they're like, "You need to like just leave so we can like, fix this."
I heard that as well. White wanted to stay.
Yeah.
But they were basically like, "Dude, these Indians really don't like you. You fucking murdered you murdered them pretty hard last time you were here. You like decapitated their leader.
Yeah, I don't think they're a big fan of you right now.
They're not happy with you, bud. So if you leave, maybe we can kind of
get better. Yeah,
maybe we can kind of negotiate with them. Be like, listen, we're sorry. John White sucks. Like we get it. Like stop killing us, please.
Yeah.
So John White was forced to leave, but his daughter, who had just given birth to his granddaughter, had to stay there.
Yeah.
Right? So he basically had to leave his daughter, his granddaughter, and go back to England and just hope that everything was all right with them, which is crazy, man.
Right.
Crazy. I don't know if I would.
But he thought, I think John thought that'd be like a quick trip. Like, I'll be back in like 9 months.
True. They planned to be back like right away.
Yeah.
Like they planned to leave, grab supplies, come right back.
Right away at that time in like half year.
Yeah, it was like a year, like a year. But still, that's not super long.
No.
So they returned to England, and they found out that the English and the Spanish were kind of at a war.
Correct. And
right?
like White hit the boat, like he wanted to like sail back out, and the Queen was like, "No, I need this boat to fight the Spanish Armada right now.
Exactly.
I need all the boats in the Navy."
Yep. She said, "I need everything here," and basically, she said no ship was allowed to leave England until the threat of Spanish invasion was over with. Right? So White's probably like, fuck.
Yeah.
White's probably like, gosh, shit, really?
Yeah.
My family's back there. Like, what about this, 300 people? Like, what?
I'm sure he was tempted of like, he probably saw like a rowboat somewhere and like, maybe I should just.
No, you're not making it across the ocean in a rowboat. No chance. And how many? It was like 150 people, right, that were left there.
Yeah,
it was about 150.
So it was like 110, I think.
Yeah. It was a decent amount this time.
We could say the guy to girl ratio was like 47 to 17. Like,
was it? It was bad.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, you're right. I think I remember seeing that. It was like 70% men.
Yeah.
But that was more than the first time. I'm pretty sure the first time they barely had any women or children. This time they wanted to bring some more women and children so they could kind of start a colony. They could, make more people, that kind of thing.
That kind of sucks. Like, would you want to start a new colony and you realize there's like 90 guys and 10 girls?
I know, right? That sucks. So yeah, the ratio was not great. But then getting back to White, so he was basically stuck in England for 3 years.
Yeah.
So back in 1590 was finally when he was allowed to return to Roanoke. So he sails back over, and when he gets there, all he could find were some footprints and then the letters CRO carved into a tree on the bank.
Right.
Outside, right?
And when he left, he said if the tribe should go anywhere, they should like leave some kind of mark to indicate where they're going.
Exactly. He wasn't super surprised because, yeah, like you said, he told them, like, if you guys need to go anywhere, leave us some sort of sign.
Right.
I don't know why they couldn't just, like, I guess because carving it into a tree means it's more permanent than, like, writing a letter or something. I guess I get that. But they couldn't carve. They couldn't carve like the whole sentence. Like, "Hey, we decided to go to here."
But apparently, what White asked, like, he put a cross on top of where you're going,
put a cross over it,
and they never did that.
Well, I heard that he told them to put a cross over it if they were in danger and had to leave. Like that was the symbol for like we're in danger.
I heard they had to put a cross to symbolize where they're going. Plus the name.
What I read was I'm not sure who's right here, but what I read was that he told them to put a cross if they were in danger and like were forced out, so that way he would know. And since there was no cross, he wasn't like super worried because he assumed that they weren't in danger. But so once they kind of like went further in and they got to like where the fort was, they found out like the entire fort was abandoned.
So actually, it wasn't there. So that's.
I heard that there was still some structures there, but everything was like ransacked. There was no like.
No, there was nothing. No structures there.
Really?
Anything. That's the thing. That's what kind of starts this whole mystery about it, because there's no evidence that the colony was even there. That's the thing. That the fort, all the houses were gone.
Okay.
So that's where the theory. That's where all the speculation comes in, because like there was no trace. And that's why they have a hard time explaining that it was. Well, we can go into all the theories, but they have a hard time explaining like all the ransacking, because like there's nothing there.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes it even a little more mysterious. They also found the word Croatoan carved into a post out by where the fort was, or the fort used to be. So at least that's a full word, which. Okay, if you're asking me here, right? They carved CRO into the tree, Croatoan into the post. They were still cool with the Croatoan tribe in Manteo.
Yeah.
I feel like it's pretty obvious that they just went down to Croatoan, right?
Right. And they even said they left chests. They actually left some chests behind in Roanoke. Just stuff that John White thought they were going to collect later. Like they must come back for the stuff. And that's why he wasn't nervous or wasn't very terrified when he wrote the journal entries that he did back then.
Yeah, he believed this meant the colony went to the Croatoan Islands. Like he was pretty like, oh, okay, I guess he wasn't like surprised or like sad or confused.
No, he just thought that's where they left.
Yeah, he was basically just like, oh, okay, so this just means that they went to the Croatoan tribe,
right?
Or no big deal.
And he also thought that because, like, the way everything just was gone. So he thought, like, they all must have, like, took out all the houses, took all the forts down, like, repacked it, and just took it with them.
Yeah. Here's the problem, though. When their plan, he said, okay, then I guess we're going to go down to Croatoa and meet with them there. But what happened? Like, the ships, something happened with the ships.
So the first time was the weather. That they couldn't make it there, and that it wasn't John White's ship. He was aboard of the captain, and their main task, because they're more pirates, their main task was to ransack and get the ransacked Spanish boats. Okay.
So that their main goal wasn't to find this tribe or find this colony. He just kind of hitched a ride. Yeah. And then when they get down there, find out the colony's not there, they were like, we don't really care that much. We're not going to go find them. So
that's not our job. It's not our mission.
Yeah, we're not too worried about that.
Right.
So, at that point, I guess John White just turns back, right? He just turns back and goes back in. Which is kind of crazy, dude. Like, if you look at a map, right, I think it was only like, how far was Croatoa from Roanoke? Was it maybe like 100 miles at the most?
Yeah, something like that.
Not even that far. Like, I almost maybe would have just like hiked it there or something, like.
Yeah, they weren't going to take you. Like.
Yeah, like you're just going to be like, I guess, I guess his daughter and granddaughter that was just born before he left, like he's just going to be like, I guess I'll never see him again. That was life back then, I guess,
And actually, there's a journal entry that says when he got back, like, I would devote I wish I knew where the tribe was. I'd devote my whole life to it. I just don't know.
Yeah, he was proud about it. I mean, maybe it wasn't as easy as just like hike it there. Maybe it wasn't quite that easy because you probably needed a boat to get there, right? I don't think you could. I don't think it was.
It's another island, yeah.
It's another island, so you'd probably need another boat to get there. Plus, back then, out by yourself, out in the wilderness, when there's tribes around there that want to kill you, maybe he made the right choice. I just don't. I just don't feel like I could just give it up like that.
Yeah. But I think where it gets a little interesting is like it sounds like what we've just been talking about. Okay, they just went to Croatoa and Manteo helped them out, but there's just so much wrong with that because when Jamestown was established, like a couple of years later.
Hold on, are you going to get into theories because we're not there yet?
I'm not getting into theories. I'm just saying.
Okay, go.
That when Jamestown reestablished, that the Roanoke colony never attempted to make any contact with Jamestown.
What do you mean?
They've never attempted to make contact with with the English again.
The original Roanoke colony. Yeah. They
never made any attempt. And it's funny thing is,
but according to them, how did they even know Jamestown was there? They wouldn't know.
But they wouldn't know. But like you would think.
So that's not surprising.
No, it is surprising because back then, because there's no colony set up, there was the English traveling through all the time with like boats and everything. With boats traveling through, and especially with like the Spanish around, that they could, if they wanted to make contact with another colony, they could make just make contact with the English.
Yeah,
but they could.
But it wasn't that easy though. When you're the one who's isolated, it's hard to make you need someone to come make contact with you.
But over the years, you would figure out that you're not the only one there. You can just talk to other native tribes.
They were the only ones there.
They were there at the time.
For a long, long time. Jamestown wasn't established until like 16 something, right? Jamestown, I heard, was established around 1600. So that's like 15 years after they were set there. Yeah, 1610 was when Jamestown. So that's like 25 years. Like that's, you know what I mean?
Right, but they never tried to make any they never tried to make any contact with anybody. You know what I'm saying?
How? How would they?
They never did, though.
Because they can't. Because they couldn't.
But even if they had children, their children's children never. You would eventually heard that there's a huge settlement in Jamestown.
Maybe like 20, 30 years later, Jamestown didn't even happen until 1610. And then for them to hear about it, I don't even know how that would happen. Because Jamestown was way far north. That was up in like Virginia.
Yeah, but
I don't think it's that crazy. I don't think it's that weird that they never.
Well, they said that it's kind of strange that they never reached out. They never reached out.
I guess. I just don't think it's that strange that never happened.
Well, if everything was perfectly fine with that colony, eventually someone would have heard about them, right?
Yeah. So basically, that's the story. There's really not much more to it. So we'll kind of get into theories now, and we'll start debating that kind of stuff. I guess more. Well, I'm not going to really get into like theories. What I'm going to do is kind of get into like evidence of certain things. Okay. Right? Do you have something you want to talk about?
Well, I think one of the theories that was suggested by the people actually who accompanied John White was that the Spanish ransacked Jamestown, that they took over Jamestown and they just killed all the colonists.
Jamestown or Roanoke?
Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
Roanoke.
Okay.
They tried to take over Roanoke. Except the huge downfall of that is there's no evidence of any struggle.
Yeah, there's no evidence of that. They carved crow and Croatoan into the trees, like.
And no Spanish there's no records of them ever ransacking or anything doing like that. Nothing like that has ever come out.
I'm sure that's a theory, but there's not much behind that.
No.
So here's some evidence into just basically some evidence for things that could lead you in different directions. So in 1607, John Smith set up the colony in Virginia where we were just talking about, Jamestown, and the Indian chief named Powhatan. God, I'm the worst at pronouncing these names, man. I'm sorry funny for Native Americans out there who are like, you fucking idiot, you sound so stupid. It's Powhatan, 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 and he was the chief of the tribe in that area. He claimed that they went and massacred the Roanoke colony, and that there was only like a few survivors, and they were kind of like scattered. They kind of just like ran off, scattered. No one ever heard from them. But that's also hard to believe because there was no remains ever found. Like we said.
And there's no struggle.
Yeah, there was no remains ever found, no struggle. And And also, people apparently said that John Smith was kind of known for embellishing things. So people don't know how credible that story is.
It's also worth noting that no serious efforts of trying to locate the colony had been made until 20 years after it was gone missing.
Yeah, nobody really
England didn't really care.
shit.
England didn't really care. Like, that's kind of the vibe that I got.
Yeah.
Like, they just didn't really care.
Yeah, no one really investigated much into like any of this stuff, really.
Because honestly, if maybe John White actually went to Croatoan, they might have been like, but we don't know because he never made it there. So it's kind of hard. And once 20 years comes around, you don't know what happened.
I know, it's crazy. There was also a colonist in Georgetown. His name was George Perry. And he claimed that there were a lot of Native Americans that had really pale skin, blonde hair, and gray eyes, which was not very common for Native Americans. So he kind of, inferred that maybe the colony just kind of like assimilated into the natives, like the native tribe, and just, started like having kids with them, that kind of stuff. And like they,
join the tribe.
Yeah, basically just join the tribe.
I think the hard thing is of that just to believe. If that would happen, they would have probably killed off like a majority of the settlers just to like feed everybody and everything.
Yeah, which is you never know.
Possibly just leave the women and children to reproduce.
One thing that is kind of a knock on that is that apparently we didn't know back then, but albinoism was a little bit more common among Native Americans than it was for English. So that's what that could have been. It could have been like albino Native Americans.
Or it could have just been like some English dude in the 1500s who just fucked a Native American. Like,
yeah,
that could have happened too. Like, I'm sure like there's been a lot of, mixing. That's not just Roanoke.
Yeah. Another thing, back in 1709, there was a dude named John Lawson who, and he was over in Virginia area, and he met with the Hatteras tribe.
Okay.
And the Hatteras tribe is the tribe that is on the island that was formerly known as Croatoa.
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically like the Croatoan tribe, but like way later, like 100 years later. And Lawson said that some of the Hatteras tribe claimed that their ancestors were white and could read.
Right.
And this was like 100 years later. So that is a big indicator that the Roanoke tribe basically, or the Roanoke colony basically like assimilated with the Croatoan tribe.
Was it the Croatoan tribes who went there though?
What?
They said the same island?
Yeah, no, the Hatteras Island in 1709, it was called they were called the Hatteras tribe, but that was basically the same. It was on the Croatoan Island, so they were the same Indians. It's just it was so long. Natives, I'm sorry.
The thing I heard about that is if that happened, like Manteo wasn't in control of the tribe. So they said if they assimilated, they probably have to like go farther inland just to feed everybody. Like it would just be a lot
possible. Yeah. It's there's so many like little breadcrumbs, little hints here, but there's no like solid evidence or anything just to really support much.
Yeah.
Later, way later, in 1888, there was some natives that were basically they were trying to receive like some help from the government, and they claimed that they're the remnants of a lost colony way back in the day, which a lot of people think that
was Roanoke.
But again, none of this stuff can be proven. None of this stuff.
It's hard. You can't just prove.
Yeah,
like,
we
DNA.
didn't have like DNA testing back then or anything, so we couldn't just prove that stuff.
No.
So all this stuff is intriguing, but it's not proof, and there's never going to be proof. So that's kind of how it goes. But the last thing is, have you heard of the Dare Stones?
No.
No?
I've not heard of the Dare Stones.
Okay, so the Dare Stones. Now, these were found in like the 1930s. I think it was like 1930-ish. It was multiple like big slabs that were found in that area. Now, the guy who found them wouldn't say where he found them. And they were found in that area of North Carolina, and he claimed that they were written by I forget her first name, but her last name was Dare, and that she was the daughter of John White.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and on the stone, she basically like explained like what happened, that they had to leave. She basically described that as soon as White left, they were basically like a bunch of people got murdered by Indians, and the rest of them were forced to leave and go down to or go inland. Just go inland and try and set up a colony there. But so there was about 10 stones found eventually, like over time, and it turned out 9 out of those 10 were proven to be fake. Mm-hmm. All right, but the original one that was first found, they're still up in the air about that one, because it checked out as far as like the carvings on the stone matched like the time of the stone, and that would have been like really, really hard to do. You basically would have to chemically age the carvings to get it to match the age of the stone, or that mm-hmm. time period, which back in the 1930s, that would have been like really tough to do, mm-hmm. to chemically age. Not that it would have been impossible, but it was very tough to do back then. I don't know if many people really even knew how to do that or anything like that. So that original stone could be real. And that was the one, and the original stone is the one that really explains like that they were murdered by the Indians and had to go inland. Mm-hmm. All right. So that's like, whether you want to believe that or not, I don't know. I mean, it's possible for them to have chemically aged it. People in the 30s weren't that stupid. People,
And what are they claiming the stones are for?
They're claiming they were written by John White's daughter. That she explained what happened.
So she explained that they just got.
She explained that they got like murdered by a bunch of, like, a lot of them got murdered by Indians like right after John White left, and then the rest of them went inland, fled.
And so, but Croatoa was nothing.
Didn't see anything about Croatoa or anything like that.
I know. I know the big theory is that it was just natives, again, who just like killed them on that island.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask me, I feel like it's almost a done deal that they just went to Croatoa. I don't understand why.
Because the tribe itself has never come out.
Prove it. Yeah.
And no contact has ever been made. Like, that's the big thing. The Roanoke colony has never tried to make contact with anybody on the outside world.
Yeah,
you would think they would try.
They can't.
But Evan, you think they would try?
How?
Huh?
How?
You don't think the natives knew where the white people were settling? You don't think they knew?
They were the only ones.
Right, but for like the first 10 to 15 years, they knew back then that there were more coming.
You're talking about like 20 years later?
Yeah. Like you try, like you.
I bet most of the colonists were dead. People didn't live that long back then.
I know, but you still had women and children. Like, I'm sure some reproduced and still had the colony. Like, there's still people of the colony left.
Yeah, but they were probably kids when England started settling. Like when other colonies started settling, and then when they grew up, what were they going to do? I don't know.
Never reached out. No one ever claimed that. Oh, I was a kid of the grandson of person who the grandchild of person who started Roanoke. Nothing like that's ever come out.
Yeah. Maybe they all got killed eventually. Maybe they went down to
that's the big
Croatoa.
theory. I mean, I personally don't think they made it to Croatoa.
No.
This might have been where they intended to go.
You think they all got killed?
They might have all got killed, or they just like ship. I feel if the weather was so bad when John White tried to go, they probably tried and they got caught in the storm and all died. My 2 cents.
You think they tried to like build a boat or something, build a ship?
That's the only way you get there. In bad weather.
I think building a ship was pretty tough, though. I'm sure people could do it, but natives definitely didn't know how to do it. They used like canoes and stuff. I don't think they ever built like big ships. So it would have had to been settlers there.
A big thing is some people think the first zombie apocalypse was Roanoke Island, and the evidence for that is that there was some cannibalism on that island.
Yeah, there's like some evidence that there was some sort of cannibalism. It doesn't necessarily. Okay, the zombie thing is fucking stupid. Maybe some people died and they were like, "Hey, there's some meat here. Maybe we should just eat this," and they ate them. I don't think that's too crazy.
That explains how they all vanished without a trace. You just eat until there's one left, and he eats himself.
He eats himself. It's a rough one, but that is.
Think about it. Our first and only zombie apocalypse happened on an island, and that's why it didn't spread because it was all kept on that island, and the world doesn't know that it happened and it was contained. We did the right measures.
Good for us then. We stopped the zombie apocalypse. Huh? Hey.
It's a wild out there theory.
Yeah, that's actually a legitimate theory. Some people say that the Roanoke colony became zombies, and I don't understand it. I didn't look too much into it because I didn't want to give it too much. I
think there's a better chance that they got beamed up by aliens and eaten up by.
There we go.
By zombies.
Alien time, man. We're almost done with this episode, but we stuck some aliens in there, huh? Yeah, I mean, it's just a big mystery, No one really knows what happened to them. We never will. I tend to think that they just went down to Croatoa and assimilated with the tribe. I think that makes the most sense.
I have a hard time believing that just because there's just they've never made any outside contact.
I can totally get behind what you were saying, where it's like maybe they tried to sail back and died on the way or something, It's just that there's a few different.
Why wouldn't they come back for the treasure they left on the island?
They left treasure on the island?
Not treasure. Some of the belongings they left, they stacked them.
Is it that important? If they were gonna would you go back for some shit if you knew you could possibly just get murdered by the Roanoke tribe for just going? I'd say fuck it. I'd say fuck that shit. We don't need it. But yeah, I mean it's crazy. It's a really crazy story. It's obviously a big mystery. No one's ever gonna know. But I think it's interesting. One of it's first mysterious thing to happen in America. And I mean, I just think it's less mysterious than people think, and it's really just a product of the times. Back then, communication was bad.
John White should have just fucking gone to the island.
I know. Why didn't John White just go to Croatoa, dude?
The mission could have been solved right then and there.
God, I know.
They could have been there, or they could have not been there.
I read that John White died in 1593. Yeah. So that was only a few years later.
And he just never tried to go to Croatoa.
Well, he might have, but he got back to England in 1590. And he died in 1593. So it's he didn't really have much time. He might have been, I wonder how old he was. I didn't look into that.
No.
I mean, people died when they were in their 30s or 40s back then, right?
Right.
Life expectancy was
way lower.
Yeah, much lower back then. He probably died of
damn,
the cold.
We'd be almost at our peak.
Yeah.
Of life.
He probably died of fucking the sniffles. People died back then from very like common and very beatable diseases today. So yeah, it's you know
the magic bullets. That's us giving diseases to Native Americans that they were not immune to.
Yeah, that they just didn't have immunity to because it was brand new to them.
Right.
Roanoke is crazy. It's. I wish, again, just like everything, I wish we could know, but we never will. So, with that, that's pretty much all the information that we have.
Burial sites somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, they've never found any remains anywhere. So yeah, it's a mystery. But we've got some time here. We could probably do a little quickie conspiracy, as per the usual. Since we're in quarantine here and we have nothing better to do, we might as well just kind of pump out some podcast material. So,
North Sentinel Island shit.
All right, so let's talk about North Sentinel Island. Huh?
Yeah, let's kind of stay into the tribes. And
we'll stay with like the old school colony theme that we have going on here. And so the North Sentinel tribe is a pretty crazy story. I mean, looking into it, just it's really interesting.
They're the only ones in the world right now that don't know that coronavirus is a thing.
Yeah, so North Sentinel Island is an island. It's in the Indian Ocean, right?
It's off the coast of India.
Yeah, it's actually not that far. It's not that far away from India, and it's like a small island that apparently it's only 50 kilometers away from another island that is like has modern cities.
Yeah, it's a big city and everything, yeah.
That's a modern city, but apparently this North Sentinel Island, anytime that anyone, that as far as we know for the past like hundreds and hundreds of years, anytime anyone has ever tried to go there and contact them, they're just met with hostility, and the North Sentinel tribe just basically starts shooting at them with like bow and arrows.
So we think it's like started to get like why they have some of the hostile. Yeah, totally different than hospitality.
Yeah, the opposite pretty much.
How they got into like kind of like being so hostile against outsiders is when the British came. One of their methods was they would take their tribe leader and try to like assimilate them into their culture. So they would kidnap them. And then they kind of show them the British ways, and they would take them back to the tribe, telling them that they're not all that bad, and they've taught me this and that. Uh-huh. But while they did that, both of them died. So it's kind of hard fixing. Well. It's kind of hard fixing relationships after that.
So they basically just kind of learned that like people that come to the island are bad. Anyone other than us is bad.
So we can't pinpoint that's the only reason they have animosity towards the outside world, but. That's like probably a factor that's been a story that's been passed down. Like, hey, these white men took two of our leaders and we never see them again.
According to like scholars and stuff, we believe that they've been on that island for tens of thousands of years, which is crazy, man. I mean, where they're at right now, like they're still like in the Stone Age, right? Like they don't know
how to make fire.
They don't even have fire. They can't make fire.
They can't light a blunt. They have no ability to light blunts.
I wonder if they have any drugs, like if they have any like psychedelic like drugs that like grow on that island or something that they use. I wonder, like recreationally. That'd be interesting.
Or do they even think like that? Is that just like a modern way of thinking?
People used to think, people were doing drugs thousands of years ago, but they didn't know. They weren't like, let's do some drugs. It was like they were like, plant and it makes you see the world, that type of shit. Like it was spiritual.
I wonder.
So maybe they do, but yeah, it's just crazy. Like, so they think they've been on this island for tens of thousands of years, and like, there's some interesting ways or reasons why they think that. Apparently, like, the sea turtles in the area are scared of them, like won't go near that island, and supposedly in other areas they've learned that it takes a long time for sea turtles to be able to like
be scared
of an island and pass that down generations. Because sea turtles live a long time. Sea turtles are like they live hundreds of years. I think they can be like 100 years old.
They can live past 100. They can live up to 150.
Yeah, sea turtles can live a long time. So it takes a long time for them to pass that kind of stuff down generationally. So yeah, they believe that they've been there for a very long time because the sea turtles are scared of them and won't go near them.
Right.
Also, like the language that they have, like apparently there's other tribes on the surrounding islands around them that have been contacted, and many times they've tried to take people from these tribes and bring them with them to try and make contact with the North Sentinel Island. It never works out. But apparently these other tribes, the languages are so different that they can't even like communicate with each other. And that takes a long time for a language that started off similar.
Yeah.
Or language for,
they've been isolated on that island for a long time. So if there's 60,000 years on that island, they've just basically all of modern history has just been settled on an island.
It's crazy, man. Like they don't know. Apparently, like they have like bow and arrows and like spears. That's that's pretty much the technology that they have. We
think there's 100 to 400 people on the island, but we honestly don't know
because we really have no idea. We've tried to like fly over and take pictures and stuff, and there's a few. Like if you go on YouTube, you can see some footage, but like it's not very much, and it's not very good quality because it's older. And it's actually illegal to contact them, right?
Yeah,
because
they're so hostile. So
well, it's not necessarily. I think it's more to do with the fact that they aren't immune to like the disease and stuff that we have.
The Indian government doesn't care about that. They just care about that they don't want citizens or anybody from the outside getting killed by these people.
I get that. But it's yeah. But I'm sure that when they say it, they're like because we want to keep them safe from like diseases. But I totally get what you mean. They're probably like, we just don't want anyone getting killed by them, so just stay away. But yeah, it's illegal to go to that island. I think it's just crazy how they're only 50 kilometers away from a modern city on the island that's next to them, and they just don't even know it. They don't even care. They don't even try and like sail. They don't even. I guess apparently they've tried to make canoes there, but they're just like for really shallow water. Like they don't even try and like leave the island or anything.
I think they just don't care. That's not part of their. I guess it's not their way of thinking. They've thought the same culture, way. Yeah. It's just cool. But what do you think they think about when they see like a plane or helicopter?
Dude, I don't know, man. That's crazy. Like,
do they think it's like?
Do they think it's a monster, some crazy being, or do you think that they like just don't even know, so they start shooting arrows at it? Because apparently, every time we've tried to like fly over, they just start shooting bow and arrows, dude. They're not happy about shit. Like
so there's a story back in 2004 when the tsunami hit the area. A lot of islands and a lot of people were devastated. So the Indian government went to check on the South Sentinelese people to see North Sentinelese people to see if they're still there and everything's good. And the reason why we know that everything's good and everything's dandy, and they somehow knew to go uphill, which is a surprise none of us knew. They were greeted with bow and arrows shot at them to the helicopters. That's how they knew that they were alive. They're like, oh, yep, they're shooting at us. Yeah, yep. They're
apparently that's their MO, right? Like anytime anyone tries to get near them, they just start shooting bow and arrows.
Yes.
They're just a hostile little group of people, you know?
And the 5 nautical miles surrounding the island was created back in 2006. 2 fishermen sailed to close the island, and they got brutally killed. And when the helicopter tried to pick the bodies up, they were shot by bow and arrows.
Yeah, they never got to recover the bodies, right? Yeah, I guess that's one story. The 2 fishermen that accidentally came too close and got murdered. And then there's in 2018, was it, or 2017 or 2018? I think it was 2018. A missionary, an American missionary who wanted to spread the word of God, went over there, and he was like, "Oh, I'm just going to go over there and talk to them about God, and I'll be fine." But they killed him. Killed him, and apparently they saw his body. Like some people saw them dragging his body on the beach, and then so they kind of confirmed he was dead. But then when they tried to go in there and get it again, they couldn't. Right? Could never recover the bodies.
No,
man, that's crazy, dude. These people are just savage. They're.
Back in the 80s, a boat was actually stuck there. It got stuck on the ledge, and they had to fend off like the Indian inhabitants for like a couple hours before rescue came because they were like coming with bow and arrows back in the 80s.
Man, dude, they're just so hostile. Like, relax. You know? I wonder why. I wonder, like...
There's, like, nothing attacks our... Man. I think also, like, it scares them, like, what are we coming on? Like, you know, how are we visiting them on these big boats?
Yeah.
And they did, like, some mission trips in the 90s.
That's happened to a lot of tribes where, like, when we make first contact with them, they're like, oh, my God, what is this? But they don't start shooting at us and trying to.
That's the thing. We don't know why they're so hostile.
Yeah, why are they so mean?
But there's a lot of failed attempts back in the 90s of trying to get them to...
Trying to contact them.
Doing, like, friendly stuff, bringing, like... You know what's worked around the world when you, like, find tribes that, like, have never made contact with the outside world. You know, they've put experts in there back in the 90s. But everything they've done has failed. They just, like, come back and, like...
Just no matter what, you're greeted with bow and arrows and spears being thrown at you. Like, no matter what you try. They won't... And they don't try and communicate with you at all, right? They just start yelling, and then they start shooting you with bow and arrows.
The only success kind of they had was in 1993. They, like, shook hands with one.
Really?
And they were, like, doing some coconut exchange. The kids were laughing. But apparently somebody said something, and then, like, they, like, brought their arrows back out, and they kind of had to back off. They didn't shoot him right then and there, but they were getting, like...
Really? That happened?
Yeah, that was only one incident.
Wow. I didn't see that anywhere. So it was in 93?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
the
only
pretty crazy. So they actually did make contact in a way. Like, they shook hands and stuff?
But only with the children, and then the adults.
Okay. It was with the children, and then when the adults came by, they were like, get the fuck out. Okay, I get that. That's a little shady. I'd be scared. Dude, that's scary. That's like... Mama, don't mess with the cub, you know, when Mama Bear comes around. That's kind of, you know?
No, so, like, they weren't... The adults saw it. Like, they allowed this children to come, like, shake the hands.
Oh, okay.
I guess.
Okay.
So this is kind of what baffles them, because they could see doing that they're not trying to be harmful in any ways. Like, they were not portraying harm, and they still were aggressive, which means they're different types that they've never really known.
Yeah, they're just really aggressive people. Huh?
Dude, that should be a new way of, like, banishing people. Like, send death right.
Send them to North Sentinel Island.
You're getting banished to North Sentinel Island.
Death send, dude. That's what we should fucking do. Dude, all right. So, like, some piece of shit goes and, like, murders a little girl or something. Okay, your sentence is... You're going to North Sentinel Island. You just, if you can survive, you can survive. So
yeah, if you can swim to shore 50 kilometers away, great for you, but...
It's only 50 kilometers. Yeah, that's right. Maybe, I think that people could swim 50 kilometers.
But you'd have to know where to swim.
Apparently, though, one, you would have to know where to swim, and apparently the waters around the island are very, like, rough. So maybe you couldn't.
Yeah.
Maybe you couldn't.
And, like...
I think distance-wise, you could, but...
That'd be hard. That's 30 miles, dude. That's...
I mean, it's possible, but with choppy water, with really rough waters and stuff. No, fuck no.
I couldn't do it. I don't even know which way 50. Like, you couldn't see the shore, right? So, like, you didn't know which way.
If your life depended on it, maybe you could make it happen. I'm not saying it's just not. It's not impossible. Is what I'm saying. It's not impossible. But that's what we got to do, dude. From now on, instead of the death sentence, we're just gonna drop you off in North Sentinel Island.
It's gonna be a game show. We're gonna have, like, drones with cameras on you.
Oh my god, that's such an America thing to do. Like, turn a uncontacted tribe into a fucking game show, like, reality TV show. Yeah. Can you survive North Sentinel Island? Like, Survivor, season 65. We're going to North Sentinel Island.
Still no survivors.
Yeah. The first season where someone actually might die, like, in real life. Dude, yeah, I mean, it's just funny, man. Like, it's really interesting to me. Like, I wish that we could go, like, I wish we could just go look, you know? I don't even want to, like, make contact or anything. I wish, like you said, like, why can't we just, like, fly some drones over there and see what's going on?
Evan, should we do that?
Us? What are we gonna do?
Fly some drones. We're gonna pay some fishermen. We're not gonna go to the island. We're gonna go, like, within a mile, and then we're just gonna fly.
You need a really nice drone then, because usually the distance is not.
Do you know, like, what publicity we could get, Evan? Just show them, like, the island. Just map out the island, because no one's been on the island and survived to tell about it.
But we can map it out just by looking at it from aerial view, right?
It's so lush, but we can't see, like...
We can't see what's, like, rivers and stuff, but we can just see, it's very dense, right?
It's very dense forest. It's a very dense forest.
Yeah.
We don't know what's on that island. That's kind of cool. It's probably nothing much.
The people, we don't know what's on there. I wonder if there's any weird... I was going to say aliens. Of course. I wonder if there's any weird animals on that island.
Yeah, 60,000 years, they've been secluded just as much as...
That island has been completely secluded for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. I bet you there's some like weird animals on that.
So what we
island.
do, Evan, what we're going to do is we're going to take a drone. We're going to put some remote control cars. So the drone's going to drop the cars and it's going to just scour.
And then, no chance, dude. Those cars would get stuck in like
They're going to have to be. We're going to have to
get stuck in a second.
They're going to have to be like.
They'd have to be like tanks.
Or what you're going to have to do is going to get one of those small drones and you're going to have to like make it try to fly through the forest.
Ooh, that's tough.
But if you could do it, you would make history, bro. You could map out that island.
But isn't it illegal to be within 5 nautical miles of that
Yeah, so
island?
we'd already
So
be
we'd have to
making-
do it secretly. We'd have to do it secretly.
Yeah. But I wouldn't get any. Would you be scared? I wouldn't be. I would be scared to get closer than a mile.
I wouldn't. No, I just would be scared to land on the island. I think if you were like a few hundred feet out, you'd be all right. They're not gonna
Like you
come
wouldn't
out
just
there.
like you don't think you could just,
You think they could hit you from that far with a bow and arrow?
I don't know how far could they hit you. I just wouldn't want to look over like, hey, what's up, man?
Dude, listen, these dudes don't even have fire. All right, like I can only imagine the bow and arrows that they're using probably aren't even that great. Like I bet you they can shoot between 100 and 200 feet at the most.
So we get 500 feet.
I think if we were like 300 feet away from the island, we'd be all right. They'd probably notice and start like yelling and shit like they do. But
so. You wouldn't care. You would go like you would go in within 300 feet.
yeah, I would. I mean,
You'd be afraid of like some.
I wouldn't because it's illegal. But like, if we were allowed to, yeah, I would. I wouldn't be afraid being like that far away. They're not like in the videos. It shows like there's a bunch of videos of people trying to contact them and stuff, and they basically just like stand on the shore and like jump around and like like yell stuff and then start shooting bow and arrows. They don't really do much. They don't like try and come after you. They don't try and get you or anything. They're just trying to scare you away. Is what it seems like. So, but it's crazy, man. It's weird. It's like it's just a totally uncontacted tribe out there.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder. Do you think they think planes or like helicopters are like animals we're riding? Do you think that's what they think?
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's the thing. Like that's what I was wondering. Like you think that they think like those like helicopter stuff are monsters and stuff, or do you think that they realize they're machine? I don't know.
I don't know how you could comprehend. Like I don't know what you could if you're not used to. I don't know what you could comprehend. You know.
I don't know. Apparently they have. They have some metal from like things that have washed ashore, so they probably think like.
Yeah, especially from the boat that's stuck there. They've actually,
that's right.
Yeah.
A boat was stuck there from the fishermen,
Yeah.
right? And then so they've gotten metal from that boat and they use it for their bow and arrows and stuff.
Probably, yeah.
So, or the arrows, not really the bow, but they use it for the arrows. So like, they kind of know what metal is. So maybe they just think that that's a flying boat, basically.
Maybe, and then they know from the big boat that was stuck there, so they probably explored that big boat pretty thoroughly back in the '80s. So.
Strange, man. It's crazy.
I wonder what they think of it. And I wonder why they're not curious to like.
I know why are
go
they so
explore.
mean, and they just all they want to do is sit there on their island. They don't want to check anything out. They don't
There's
wanna
like
go
get the
anywhere.
fuck up. Maybe there's something very powerful on that island.
Maybe there's like legend through like that's been passed down from thousands of years that are like if you leave the island you'll get killed or you'll die and like protect this island. It's all you have type of thing. Like who knows? Maybe it's part of like.
Or Evan, maybe they're guarding something. Maybe that's why they're so hostile. Maybe they're like kept with a secret.
What do they got there? I wonder what kind of crazy.
They're
thing.
like, you got to defend your life. If anything comes close to that island, you got to shoot it down.
I mean, let's be real. If we wanted to go on that island and get some shit, we definitely could.
I mean, yeah.
If we didn't give a fuck and we were like,
yeah,
we could for sure just go there, kill them all, and take.
Obviously,
yeah.
I wonder why we haven't even just tried to like shoot up in the sky and been like
Yeah,
show us.
shut the fuck up.
Like,
let's just be cool here, right?
We're boss here. Let's just make it real quick.
We're the boss here. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, if they want to be so hostile, why can't we be a little hostile back?
Maybe they'd be a little threatened by that.
Of course they would, but like we'd be like, calm down. We don't want to hurt you. We just want to like figure out what's going on. We just want to, you know what I mean? I don't know, but that'll never happen because that's not.
That's not a great way to show.
That's not a good.
Breaking news: Americans break through with Senegalese people, and you can just see someone
basically just scared the shit out of them.
Shut the fuck up! We're gonna do it this way, whether you like it or not.
You basically just scare the shit out of them until they are forced to accept us.
Yeah,
it's an American thing to do. But yeah, so the North Sentinel Island it's crazy. It's
a mystery. I really want to go just close to it.
Yeah, right. I know. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe one day someone will make contact with them. Although I doubt it, man. If 2018, as recent as 2018, they killed that missionary who I'm sure was just the most peaceful dude.
Yeah, I'm definitely sure when he met them, when they saw him on the island,
was bowing. He
probably was bowing down there,
and they still killed him. So, man, but
I think.
So this has been a fun episode, a little colony episode, a colonial episode,
Evan, one last question to this. If you were dropped on the island, just dropped, what would you do? Would you just immediately try to go to the shore and swim? Or would you It's
a good question. I would definitely stay on the outskirts, on the beaches.
Then they could see you because you're just not in the bushes.
But I don't know what would make them see me in the first place, you know what I mean? I just stayed because I think that they only come to the outskirts when there's boats and stuff.
They probably see you. Yeah.
So I don't know. What's my plan? Is my plan to get the fuck out of there or what?
Yeah, your plan is just to get the fuck out. Do you think you get the fuck out?
I don't know how you could. If do people know you're there? Are people coming to get you, or you have to survive a certain amount of time, or you just have to or you're just there, no one knows you're there, and you have to figure out a way to.
No, because I think that's stuck.
That's impossible. That's impossible. So you have to survive a couple days while.
Yeah, there's a boat coming to your island. They're there's someone's radio, Evan.
Yeah, dude, I think I would stay.
Evan, we're 3 days out. We're 3 days out, Evan. Just stick it out 3 days. We're there. We're coming for you, baby.
Towards the outskirts. Obviously, I would try and find some sort of weapon that I could, a rock or a stick or something I could use.
Dude, they've been training.
But dude, if they're shooting bow and arrows, man, they might. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I feel like you'd have to be very quiet. You would have to always look around. But I feel like they could sneak up.
Yeah, maybe you could find a spot in the jungle to hide, but it's who knows what kind of animals or what kind of bugs, what kind of snakes, what kind, you know what I mean? Who knows what else is on there that can fucking kill you? That might be more deadly than that fucking tribe. So I don't know. It's crazy. That's not a good situation to be in.
No, but let us know in the comments below if you would like that game show.
Yeah, right. We'll see if we can make that game show. All right. Drop people off. Survivor season 73, North Sentinel Island. But yeah. So interesting episode. Lots of islands involved. Lots of islands and colonial people involved. But yeah, I mean, Roanoke is it's a crazy mystery.
And it's their first colony. It's history, baby.
The first English colony in America. Yeah, it's crazy. And it's a very intriguing story. It's interesting. It's gone, up and gone, vanished.
Yeah.
And then, a little North Sentinel Island talk just because I think that stuff's really fascinating too. And it's another kind of mystery that we got here. So what are we going to do next week? Should we talk about the Ark of the Covenant?
Yeah, dude. I think we should go a little ancient. We haven't gone ancient since ancient Egypt.
Yeah, we'll go back to ancient. And we're going to talk about the Ark of the Covenant, which is just one of the biggest mysteries of all time. Really, I mean, it's in the Bible, and you know what I mean. It's very fascinating. We're going to talk about we'll talk about the biblical aspects of it. We'll talk about where we think it could be right now. What evidence to this and that, some return of Graham Hancock's information because he's a really smart guy and he's done some research into the Ark. So yeah, we'll talk about the Ark of the Covenant, and we may or may not have a quickie next week.
We'll see.
I don't think we will. I think the Ark of the Covenant is so much information on that. So, but who knows? We'll see. But yeah, so thank you guys for listening to Mystery Bros. Stay safe, stay quarantined, stay safe, and we'll get at you next week.
Yeah, if you're not sick, tune back in.
Either way, tune in.
Definitely. Always tune in. Even if you're on your deathbed on your ventilator, you need to listen to us.
Tell them you need to listen to the Mystery Bros.
Mystery Bros.
But we hope that never happens.
We're here. Stay safe. Love you, Americans, forever.
All right, guys. Peace out.
Mystery Bros.
Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Bros. Mystery Bros.
Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Bros. Mystery Bros.